Okay, a very good morning to everyone. So today I'm going to give a brief introduction about promises, which is a very prominent concept in JavaScript. So basically, promises are used to handle the asynchronous operations in JavaScript, such as API calls and timer functions, and then input file operations. So by the end of this demo, so we are going to learn about what really promises and why we are going to use the promises and how promises work in our real world scenarios. So next slide. So yeah, before learning about the promises, so we are going to learn about asynchronous. So what's really is asynchronous is, so before understanding that promises, so JavaScript basically a single threaded language. So but it can handle tasks tasks that are eventually take some time during calls for backend. Those are like fetching the data from the server and waiting for a timer or reading a file from the backend server. So these tasks actually do not block the main execution thread, and so this is kind of asynchronous. So while one operation is in place, so the other one would not take much longer time. So that is typical asynchronous programming culture. So the next slide is about so a promise is an object that represents a future result of an asynchronous operation. So basically what I would like to tell is it's kind of object. So where we are going to capture that object after finishing the task. So that means like if the task is not completed now, or it will complete later, or it will either succeed or fail. So in this typical in these three scenarios, we are going to capture the promise object. So this is about what's really promise is. Basically, it's an object that represents the future result of an asynchronous operation. So the next slide would be like real-time example of when we are going to face the promises. So in theory, so this is a theoretical example. So let us, in theoretical real-time example. So imagine if you go to restaurant, order some food. So during that time, so you just go and place an order. So and you'll wait for some time, and later you either there are like a couple of scenarios during that time. So either you'll get the food, or you are told that the food is not. I mean, it's not available. So that scenario to the promise will comes into the picture. It's kind of token. Just you will receive after ordering if ordering is like a promise. So JavaScript promises work in the same way. So it's kind of token, kind of representation whether it is success or failure. That is a real-time example. Next, please. So the next one is like states. So typically, a promise has three states. The one is pending, second one is fulfilled, and third one is rejected. So the first one, like pending state, is like it's in initial stage, while we are waiting for an order. Our second one is fulfilled. So the operation is completely successful. It will move to fulfilled state, and the third one is rejected. So as we all, it's the word mentions that when the operation is failed, it will go to rejected state. So typically at any point of time, the promise would be in only one single state during this flow of execution. And the next slide is about how we are going to create a promise. This is more like technical part. So how to create a promise in JavaScript. So with the help of new promise keyword, new keyword, we have to pass a function inside the promise that consists of like couple of parameters, also like resolve and reject. So this is a typical function we have to pass inside the promise object. So if it is success, it will call the resolve function. If it is failure, it will call the reject function. So resolve and reject are the two operations while it is successful or failure. This is a technical part, how to create a promise object. The next slide would be how to consume a promise. So there are like a couple of extension methods in JavaScript, that is .then and .catch. Those are like .then is used to handle the success, and .catch is basically if you get any error while executing that, while catching that promise object, so you can catch that errors in that catch block. So this is typically how we're going to consume the promise object. And the next one would be next one would be a conclusion. So I would like to conclude by giving the key things about promise really is. So promises just help us to manage asynchronous functionality, and basically they make the JavaScript code cleaner and easier to understand, and they're widely used in modern JavaScript development. So basically these promises are widely and very effective use we are using in modern JavaScript just to avoid the callback functionality or callback health. So yeah, this is all about promises. Thank you everyone.